Finally back in the saddle, today's the day we figure out if I can beat Dark Souls 2 DLC Trilogy with only shields. Like always, summoning won't be allowed, and just like last time, there are no special rules. After doing the main game, I feel very confident about shield combat. We learn that they hit much harder than you'd expect while also blocking more attacks than what should be possible. On the other hand, my memory of these 3 DLCs is very foggy. I'll be honest, I have never beaten all the DLC bosses, so this should be interesting. But before we start this challenge, make sure you check out the first shield only video so you can have full context of this journey. Or don't, I'm just a random voice on the internet with no power over you, but either way, let's begin. Unfortunately, I'm playing the Scholar the first Sins edition of Dark Souls 2, which means I must first collect the DLC keys from the Wilderness. If I was playing the original, they would have automatically been added to my inventory upon starting the game. First up is the Dragon's Talon. Easy to get since I remembered I have the Forgotten Key, plus I already purchased the most expensive ladder from the first Elden Lord Godfrey. Next is the Heavy Iron Key, where I try to be a badass by doing a top road finisher only to fizzle out just before connecting my hit, resulting in my death. Attempt number 4, I hopped away from the Salamander, easily cleared out the pit, acquiring the second key. And finally we have the Frozen Flower that I accidentally picked up in the last video. Back at Apex Regional we touch the Goblet of Garbage and then get whisked away to Sin City. Not even 2 steps in we encounter the final boss of the DLC. Wait, no, get the fuck back here and fight me, you coward. Fine, I'll make my way through the city while I try to remember how to play because I haven't touched a single Souls game since August of 2024. So far the enemies are pretty easy. Havel's Great Shield blocks all their damage, plus most of the poison buildup, with everything dying in 2 to 3 hits from the Grand Slams. Off in the distance I spot a nice bonfire that can only be reached by activating these pillars. So like an idiot I overshoot the jump, start panic rolling, then fall to my death. On take 2 I learned even with the range of the jumping slam I can't reach the pillar to activate it. So I guess we'll be skipping this bonfire. Further ahead, Sin Diesel gives me an assist opening the path to the Bad Dragon Sanctum. Inside I get to work by desecrating the graves. This defilement of the dead makes the ghost tangible, allowing my stone cold slab to send them back to the Field of Reeds. Deeper inside I ran past all the BS, slapped around some Sanctum Priests while the dead rest in pieces. Then panic rolled to my death thanks to one ghost ever so slightly nudging me. Once I finished my internal screaming from getting sent all the way back to the start of the DLC, I finished shattering the dead, then got to bashing their corporeal faces in. After giving the last ghost the old shove and stuff combo, I made sure to pick up the Eternal Sanctum Key for future me, then picked up the Dragon Stone for present me. Also, you don't know how badly I wanted to press this button. It goes against every fiber of my being not to. But when I say shields only, I really do mean shields only. Now we have a big problem standing before us. Once an ally now turned invader, Jester Thomas brings the heat. Armed with pyromancies like Forbidden Sun and Great Chaos Fireball, this dude is no joke. Even behind my slab of rock, Thomas still hits like a freight train, but luckily for me, my Grand Slam Witch proves too mighty for the poor Jester. He goes in for the warmth to heal himself, but nothing can stop the cold embrace of death that guides my shield. After running past the inbreds, we finally come across our first bonfire. Up the trail I can plug in that Dragon Stone I found to raise the bridge, granting us entrance to the Luxor Hotel. With the loop completed, I've returned back to the Bad Dragon Sanctum, used the Eternal Sanctum Key, then did battle with Rock Shield Baldhead. He was a complete pushover. If anything, he should have used that shield he had on him. Those things are pretty dangerous from what I've seen. And speaking of shields, here it is, the almighty Sanctum Shield. That I don't even have the stats to wield, but we'll fix that later. Inside the pyramid we encounter the Drakeblood Knights, but unfortunately for them, I listen to Kendrick Lamar. Now everyone, please pour one out for the fallen homies. All these bloodstains on the floor was just sad to see. Finally at the bottom we encounter the first DLC boss, Alana the Squalid Queen. This lady thinks she's in an edit, starting the fight off with her back turned to me. Just for that level of disrespect, I break one of anime's forbidden rules by attacking her during the monologue. Out the gate I failed to engage 2 jumping slams, leaving me wide open for her wraithful axe. I popped a Crunchberry to restore my health while she tries to pull a Jester Thomas on my ass. After 2 teleports I get a little too greedy, barely blocking a volley of Dark Shot with my own attack, draining the last little bit of stamina, leaving myself wide open for a nasty axe combo. Since we're in Sin City, I gotta gamble. Elena will summon minions to aid her during this fight, and I'm praying I get lucky. Will it be the Bone Boys, the Big V himself, or the 3 little pigs? And we're in luck, it's the Skeleton Squad. Besides a little bleed or poison buildup, the added Rattlers don't pose too much of a threat. After backing her and myself into a corner, she hits me with the triple chocolate, so I back off to restore my HP, and this crazy ass lady chases me down trying to hit me with the Axe Body Spray. While she's going in for her AoE, I take the time to heal up, and kill off the last remaining skeletons, returning them to her summoning pool. Elena tries to bring in the Dark Hail once more, but that doesn't do squat to me. Once again she spins up the summoning machine, and thank god it's more skeletons. She teleports behind me, but I manage to block off the nothing personal kid combo, then go in for a slam and a shove, falling just out of KO range with Elana responding to me with an axe to the cranium. But after marching to the rhythm of the palace floor, this moldy looking butternut squash's song has been cut short. With that fragment of Manus out the way, the mural of the Last Supper opens up to our next boss, Sin the Slumbering Dragon. After waking the dragon, I try to dart in for a hit, but immediately get charged for big damage. Honestly, the whole start of this fight is just me taking a pounding, straight up getting blasted and ragdolled all over the place. Got my ass looking silly out here. Like, this was so bad I almost didn't want to show it. Bro tries to hit me with that upgraded Calamite sweeping fire, but I was feeling nice with it so I cleanly dodged through it. But the universe must bring balance to itself, so in return I kept barely missing my attacks. Like, I was legit fumbling the bag, foaming from the mouth at these screw-ups like, dog, what am I doing? What's got me stressing out right now is that toxic icon ticking its way up for my failure to dodge. Unfortunately, I ended up taking the brunt force of breath so rank it could make an onion cry, so I started popping some crunch berries to offset the damage. Thankfully, this isn't Dark Souls 1 toxic because that shit would be going on for another 5 minutes. Then in comes the missus from her office day job, making sure I don't rough up the sleepy dragon too much. After getting Sin down to about a third, I get caught lacking and once again I get done in by some dragon steppers. Round 2, I am fully locked in. Running around Sin Looney Tunes style got this boy looking stupid. After a few good hits I managed to slam the tail off and received nothing for it, which feels like a missed opportunity. I really do miss the tail weapons from Dark Souls 1, they were always a nice little surprise. I was feeling so good about myself that I had the audacity to pick up my $5.22 off the ground. Then out the corner of my eye, I saw little Cindy Lou Who about to sweep fire, so I ran in for a slam, then got pimp slapped back to back for those swift moves. I tried to heal off some damage but got slammed with the equivalent of a semi-truck barreling down I-95. With one final Akira slide from Sin, I delivered the signature jumping slam, putting this dragon on a milk carton. Now I gotta say, the thing that makes Sin hard for me is the camera. It's definitely a skill issue on my end since I use lock-on, but it always feels like FromSoft fumbles a bit with the giant bosses. But what's your opinion? After that ordeal, I picked up the Crown of the Sunken King, then made my way over to the Cave of the Dead. This place isn't that bad, you know, besides the poison and petrification, but at least it's short. At the end of the Skyrim cave, we square off against the, yeah, I ain't saying all that shit, but you know them as Gank Squad. The first one that needs to be taken out is Longbow Kara. Like always, the shield slaps, but I panic roll into the pit. I use the opportunity to pop a Crunchberry, realize I hit a dead end, then zoom past Fake Havel. Back up top, I start to really lay into the Bowman. After reducing them to about a third, I get flattened like a pancake, then fall for the pit maneuver a second time, taking 2 Havel slams to my ass on the way out. I heal up, then bum rush the old Explorer. With 2 final shoves, they're now exploring the afterlife. Up next is Meta's Grave Robber of the Afflicted. In trying to avoid not Havel's attacks, I return to Pittsburgh, but quickly escape giving the Grave Robber a beefy slam on the way out. After giving him 2 topside slams, guess where I ended up? If you answered the pit, then congrats, you win nothing. After playing another game of Ring Around the Dumbasses, I start really laying into Mr. Afflicted. By this point, y'all know what I'm about. I love the 1982 classic Atari 2600 video game known as Pitfall. So back down I go, only to get plunging attacked for my stupidity, but immediately finished off Meta's once topside. Now it's a 1v1 against Varg, Knight of the Tower. Best part is, his attacks actually bounce off my shield, leaving him wide open for an attack afterwards. Unfortunately for him, he only deals physical damage, so there's literally nothing he can do about me. So with one final grand slam, the bodacious booty bandits go down. Hell, I even did this on my first try. I might have to start calling them the Fraud Squad. And with that, this bullshit-ass pyramid scheme is finally over. Crown of the Sunken Sun was easier than I expected. Like I said before, I haven't played a single Souls game in about 8 months at the time of recording this footage, but I still managed to waltz in, then do all these bosses after working a full 8-hour shift at Walmart. Well, on to the next DLC. Behind Texas Pete's lava pool, we touch the Goblet of Fire, then wonder how J.K. Rowling's became such a massive bitch. Before I head out on this crusade, I grab my cheese wedges out the statue because these things will be very important for making the DLC a little easier. After progressing a bit, I hit a wall made out of my own stubbornness. I was just hell-bent on defeating all enemies in this pit for some reason, so I got stuck here for a good while. Once I passed that self-inflicted hurdle, I encountered the worst NPC invader in the entire series, Mah-Dry-Bread the Assassin. Anyone that's played this DLC knows that this dude is a coward, but he can also run your fade. As soon as he gets to about half HP, he runs away like a little bitch. I ran into this cursed pit knowing I'll have to make the sacrifice, so I slammed the cheese wedge in only to get insta-killed, but it was worth it. Upon returning, I showed the bum in the basement what this shield does, then banished his ass to the Shadowlands. Dude is legit more annoying than some bosses in this game. My adventures then lead me to a dark tower full of fat guys dying of heartburn. At the bottom we encounter the invader Quicksword Rachel. The only thing quick about her is how fast she folds in a fight. Further down we watch some more dudes flop over from cardiac arrest, which allows me to grab the scorching iron scepter. With the hot rod in hand, I shove it deep inside the brazen bull, activating all the elevators upon climax. Then I went on a training montage against the Rotten. Now I finally have the stats to wield the Sanctum Shield. that I'm not going to use yet. Back at the tower I readied the bonfire for Iron Passage, then fought my way through a squad of U2 predators protecting a lone suit of armor. And without further ado, I made my way to the bottom, plugged in 4 cheese wedges, then prepared myself for the gloom and doom of many players. Known for being one of the hardest bosses in the entire series, who once boasted a 93% failure rate upon the player base, the man, the myth, the Fume Knight Raimi. I know good and damn well this is the boss y'all were waiting to see me fight. Havel's shield is able to block most of his damage. It might sound weird, but I'm actually more scared of the little sword than I am the big one. The little one comes at you fast with some crazy combo potential. While the big one may hit harder, it's easier for me to keep track of with its slow attacks that leave Raimi open for damage or a chance for me to heal up. I got a super clean hitbox. Like, I legit don't know how this didn't hit me. I just barely ducked under it, I guess. Once Raimi gets to half HP, he starts comboing the hell out of me. Smacks the taste out of my mouth for trying to heal up, then fires up the blade. At this point I start taking way more chip damage, but it's still manageable. I get hit with the goodness gracious great balls of fire, then mistakenly pop a crunch berry instead of sipping down some Estus, which resulted in my death, but honestly I think I would have been knocked out regardless. So I go back in for round 2. It's mostly the same as first time, his heap of raw iron repeatedly slamming against my stone cold slab. But as we all know, phase 2 is where the real fight begins. I'm one of those people who actually finds phase 2 to be a little easier to deal with. Whenever he does the slow swing, I dodge into it, which usually gives me time to get in a free hit or heal up. The Ring of Fire is somewhat easy to dodge. I see a lot of people overreacting, then start moving too far left or right, which usually gets them slapped by the balls. Thankfully, Raimi was being generous with the slow swings that day, letting me stagger him, but I know better than to get too greedy in this fight. He goes in for the double swing plus thrust combo, but gently circling to the left lets me get some damage in. So he retaliated with another Pacific Ring, but once again, barely moving to the left or right, lets me safely avoid it. We do another dance of slow swinging with a slam afterwards. I let my guard down to restore my stamina, but ended up taking a nasty hit to the dome piece. One more slow swing gives me the chance to heal, but puts me point blank against the fire orbs that I barely block off. Then out of nowhere he lunges forward, putting me flat on my ass. This entire fight I've tried my best to avoid being in KO range, but now I'm deep within it. Barely block off 2 more swings, and then the third one just barely misses, allowing me to heal up. That near miss cinched the hair off my nutsack. Fume and Doom goes in for the glorious slow swing, allowing me to heal up to full. I do get clipped by his balls of fire right after, but I managed to dodge his jumping slam to take another sweet sip of Estus. Dodged another volley of fire to get a shove in, then with the almighty jumping slam, the Fume Knight has been defeated on my second try, no less. It might have looked easy, but I deadass had to take a break afterwards because I was shaking from the stress. Behind the arena I pick up the crown of the old Iron King, then made my way to Iron Passage. This place sucks ass. Like, I get it, it's a co-op area, but holy fuck. I'm not even going to waste our time bitching about it because that alone will probably add another 5 minutes to this video. So I ended up taking it nice and slow, fighting everything one at a time. At the end of the passage we encounter the Blue Coral number 2 Semi-Gloss Smelter Demon. Besides the obvious palette swap, Blue Bull is a tad bit faster than his red cousin, deals magic damage instead of fire, and will sometimes delay his attacks to throw off your timing. But for the most part the same strategies work as before. Wait for him to leap into the air, watch him explode, then get your damage in. The only real surprise during this fight is when I went in for a jumping slam, then got knocked out of it from his roar. The fight does get a lot harder when he activates his aura and buffs the sword. Just being near him will cause damage and the sword swings now chip through my defenses. Anytime I have a chance I'll pop 2 crunch berries to help offset that damage. Things got pretty dicey there towards the end, almost felt like he was speeding up to be honest. I was barely blocking off those attacks after healing, but I still managed to beat him on my first try just out of sheer spite. I was not running through that shit again. After that fight, we head back to the past, entering the memory of the old Iron King. This place might be worse than Iron Passage. Like, I thought Iron Keep had too many samurais, but god damn, this right here is the real Bushido gangbang. I'll let you in on a little secret. I have never fought Sir Alone before. I used to rage quit on the way to him, so this is going to be a special one. Because I'm not a complete piece of shit and this is our first time meeting each other, I gave the man a chance to get off the ground before we start this fight, but I immediately come to regret that decision when he shoves that drying pole clean through me, hoists me up in the air, then flings me halfway across the room like a piece of garbage. The absolute disrespect of this man. Now with his blade buff with my blood, this foolish samurai goes in for another impalement, but I managed to roll out of the way this time. After popping a crunch berry, I quickly learned that Sir Alone is fast as hell. Thankfully the shield completely walls off all of his attacks, minus the bleed build-up, but his combos still drain a ton of stamina out of me. I finally get my first hit on him after getting a feel of the flow for this fight. But me being me, I just stood there doing nothing while he penetrated me for a second time this night, damn near killing me in the process. I started walling off another flurry of attacks to get my drink on, then dodged round 3 of his fun stick. Alone jumps backwards preparing an attack, both of us colliding in the middle. After that epic moment I was looking for my next opening. I spent so much time blocking him that it took a moment to appreciate the floor. Like, this is some damn good marble. I can even see my reflection in it. I started to find my groove with this fight. After blocking or circling around a 3-hit combo, I usually have enough stamina for a beefy hit. The Shadow Blade makes a very distinct sound. As soon as I hear it, I gotta roll. Alonne goes in for another shish kebab, but I respond with my own signature attack. But he pulls out a new raw dog double-handed thrust, knocking me firmly on my ass. Not only does he double down on it to show me why he is him, he triples down on it just to show me that he can own my ass anytime or any place. We then start circling around each other like a RuneScape couple. Buddy got tired of that and put his musty-ass size 13 Kokage on my shield. Dude might be a samurai, but he is disrespectful as hell, I swear to God. We continue the dance of sword and shield, with my jumping slam falling just out of KO range. But after a final block followed by a hefty bash, I have beaten Sir Alone on my first ever fight against him, and claimed my #1 headband. All in all, I think this is the DLC most people remember. 2 amazing bosses, with one of them being a revamp, also including one of the hardest bosses in the entire series, plus 2 co-op areas to run through. Sadly, the old Iron King didn't add any new shields, which makes it the worst DLC by default. Now it's time for the final trial. I return to the Shrine of Winter, touch the Goblet of Ice, then get transported to northern Canada, where some lady starts shouting off about the old Chaos being hungry. Well, guess what? It can go eat a dick. Upon getting flashbanged by this DLC, I suffer a loss worse than death. My left joystick started suffering from forward drift, thus robbing me of the almighty jumping slam, which just completely broke my heart. Not gonna lie, I don't have much to say about the exploration. It's just filled with a bunch of icy blue dudes that can't hurt me through the shield. Top of this giant flaming altar, we find ourselves the eyes of the priestess. These pearly peepers let me see invisible creatures, which I'll need for the first boss of this DLC. I then get invaded by Holy Knight Orheim. Orheim thinks they might be slick, but I see right through that clever trick. They were pretty easy to shove around, but I still gotta give my respects. Dark Souls 2 does get pretty creative with the NPC invasions. After looping around, I was feeling pretty good about myself, so I entered the boss fog with only 7 Estus in hand, along with the princess yapping in my ear about chaos. Now it's time to face off against
Shoshon the White Tiger King.
I wasn't sure if my shield was going to be able to block hits from a 2-ton white Smilodon, but once again, I am surprised. After sidestepping the homing snow spears, Ava decides I look like a sweet treat and starts chopping down on my ass for a decent chunk of damage. Thank God it's not the bite attack from one of those Elden Ring golden hippos. Because I'm stupid, I fall for the unblockable bite attack once again, but her magical explosion afterwards gives me time to heal it off. While blocking the swipes, I took a second to ride on top of Ava's thigh, then asked Santa for a present. That present being the swift end to this boring ass fight. Maybe my Dark Souls 2 itis is acting up again. I honestly don't have much to say for this boss. I legit brought my roommate in to help find something to say about it, and we were both at a fucking loss. Like, half this fight is just watching a big fucking cat run around with the zoomies, and the other half is watching it scratch my shield like a cat trying to enter a closed door. I could spend another 2 hours trying to find the words for this boss, but my D+ high school brain is fried from all this writing. I legit have a headache. And you know what? Sometimes less is more. Thus ends the reign of
Shoshon the White Tiger King.
Now I can finally progress to the Grand Cathedral. Inside Alsanna begins the Yap session, so I'll give you the TLDR version. Damn, that's crazy, you killed my cat. This land is built like the northernmost parts of Canada. The old chaos is spooky. My husband the king pushed back the chaos, then built a city on top of it for containment. Unfortunately, the chaos is forever hungry. The king tried to use the power of his own soul to fill the chaos, but ran out of dick halfway through, so he plunged himself into the heart of chaos to 1v1 it. With the Ivory King piecing out, Goth Mommy fiddled with the thermostat, setting it to a crisp -55 degrees. God, for a silent oracle, she sure likes to talk a lot. After agreeing to kick her husband's ass, she cranks up the heat, removing all the frozen paths. I could try to fight him right now, but I'm gonna need some bros to close the portals for me. I would love to have all 4 of them, but that feels like cheating. Like, it's not a summon, but the 4th dude still assists me during the boss fight, so I'll go with just 3 to make the boss a fair 1v1. After retracing my steps and going off the beaten path, I encountered Hexer Nikolai. They say lightning never strikes the same place twice, but that's a goddamn lie, because I got hit 5 times by his heavenly thunder, killing me almost instantly. Second encounter, I bashed him to death just for pissing me off. Upstairs, we encounter a friendly phantom. Yeah, nice try, asshole. I'd recognize that outfit and weapon combo anywhere. Fucking bum in the basement has returned. After a little tussling around, he hits the jets, then skedaddles off. I give chase, which puts me face to face with another covetous demon, who once again proves to not be worth my time. But is worth my time is this coward. Nowhere left to run, he's forced to do honorable combat with me, and I took great pleasure in it.
Oh my. Am I really that famous?
Yeah, for running away like a little bitch.
After beating some soul-sucking golems, then fighting my way through some shaved ice, we encounter our first polar pal. Hitting the snowball rolls it off the cliff, letting it grow inside, crushing the foes in the way, while also making a convenient shortcut for my next stop. Upon lighting these scones, the doors open up to a South Carolina rally. Once I finish taking out the trash, I picked up the garrison key that I'll probably come to regret later. After getting myself lost and forgetting who I even am as a person, we get invaded by castaway witch Donna. She was also a complete pushover. Just past her, we find our last frosty friend. Now that I have the minimum amount of Blizzard boys, it's time to dive into hell. Before the boss shows up, I have to slowly defeat the Charred Crusaders, which gives my Glacier guys time to sacrifice themselves to close off the portals. With no more enemies to fight, my Estus fully drained, and the portals to hell frozen over, it's finally time for the best boss entrance in the entire series. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the Burnt Ivory King. Dude swaggers out this Oblivion Gate, and the first thing he does is stab on me. Then immediately slaps the taste out of my mouth for not respecting the dab. Despite all the fancy moves, Havel's God Shield completely walls off the king, but that changes as soon as he puts some razzle dazzle on the blade. Now a whopping 10% of his damage can chip through my shield. In his attempt to scare me, he plunged his sword into the stone, calling it an ice age from the depths of hell, which does manage to break my guard. He then thrusts it all the way through my shield, penetrating me deeply, with barely any gagging on my end, then flings me like a piece of trash just like Sir Alone. He then slams his sword into the ground again, just like the Fume Knight would do. Was there a bargain sale on these moves, or did he just outright steal them? I want to give him props, but all he's doing is styling on me without any real damage being done. After the backflip, his sword runs out of juice, but in hopes of giving his wife a good time later on this evening, he pops another blue chew, then gets that sword going for round 2. Not gonna lie, I was getting a little bored. I started dodging his attacks for pure entertainment, then he fizzles out again. Without the magic stick, there's really nothing he can do about me. I almost feel bad for him. Out of sheer desperation, he slaps on some more royal magic grease. I imagine him crying behind the mask like, I'm the king of this land, don't make me look bad in front of my wife. Anyways, John Arbuckle goes down hella easy. Havel's shield is just that busted, I don't know what else to say. I'd let this shield put some baby gravy in me. After that disappointment, I picked up my Burger King crown, then headed up to Alaska for the final boss. After using the garrison key, we hop into this coffin, then slide down to the worst time of our life. This is my least favorite area. Got it looking like that episode of SpongeBob where Squidward was all alone.
Hello. Alone.
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 Alone. Alone.
And I wish I wasn't alone. When the blizzard rolls in, these reindeers come out to sexually harass me, and yes, it is a reindeer, so I'm not quite sure why people ended up calling this place Horsefuck Valley, but it's still funny. This frozen wasteland is hell itself. All you can do is walk towards the sun, bunker down during the storms, then pray that you get to the boss with enough sanity intact. After legit 30 minutes of traveling, I finally arrive at the pearly white boss gate. Inside we face off against the Black Tiger King. His moveset is the exact same as Ava's, so I know how to handle him. Just be patient, sidestep the homing missiles, then deal damage whenever I can. I just gotta play it safe. The unfortunate reality of this fight hits you once you get loot down to about a third, because that's when Zallen decides to hop into the fight. This is where everything begins to fall apart. They keep coming at me one after another. I can't even get away for more than 1 second at a time. There's no time to heal, let alone attack, so I'm wondering if this is even possible for me. After another long walk through the long dark, I don't end up doing too much better, but I did get a hit on each of them this time. So we try again, and no dice. 4th time's the charm, right? At this point, loot is my problem. By the time Zallen shows up, I only need a few more hits to remove him from the battle, but I still end up failing. So we get right back up, only to fail as soon as Zallen spawns in. Slander thought his wife was missing, didn't ask for her permission. I'm wearing her clothes, her silk pantyhose, walking around in women's underwear. Sorry, I'm going a little insane here. I've been here for 3 fucking hours. The worst part about a boss like this is seeing the vision to success. It's something I know I can do. I've beaten the White Tiger, so I've basically done the fight already. Just now there's 2 of them. I'm really tired of looking at the color white. I'm sick of running back. I have had it with these motherfucking reindeers in this motherfucking frozen wasteland. Honestly, I was about to say fuck it and just end the challenge here. I've done enough. But before heading off to bed that night, I decided to give it one last try. Since I can no longer reliably use the jumping slams, I decided to make up for it with the heavy swipes to squeeze out a little extra damage. By the time Zallen spawns in, loot is down to less than a quarter. I popped a Crunchberry to get the heals started, but get knocked down by a Frost Missile barrage. With both cats on me, I managed to slap loot with a shield, only to get sent back flat on my ass again. After dodging a double pounce and healing up, Zallen runs off while loot leaps right towards me, misses his attack, then gets knocked out. This is perfect, now it's a fair 1v1. 1. After getting Zallen down to a quarter, he lets out a big roar that boosts his damage while also slowly regenerating his HP. I kept sideswiping him until his healing aura fades away, then it's lights out for this stupid ass We Are Siamese If You Please duo of a boss. And guess what? That was my first ever time beating them in my life, so give me a big hell yeah down in the comments. I knew as soon as loot went down, this fight was in the bag. So with that, I've officially beaten every Dark Souls 2 boss for the first time in my life, all while using only shields. This was pretty damn amazing. 6 out of the 9 DLC bosses were beaten on the first try, for a grand total of 29 out of 41 bosses beaten on the first try, or 70.73%. So overall, I think shields are fantastic weapons in Dark Souls 2. This started off as a challenge run, but once I switched over to a great shield, it definitely became more of a weapon showcase. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like or a comment. It really helps to keep me motivated to keep doing these videos. The next challenge is already halfway recorded, but I'm going to keep that one a secret for now. I'll also put up a poll after this video to let y'all pick the next challenge run. And let me know if you'd be interested in seeing me live stream these challenges or any other games. I can do it here or over on Twitch, whichever one people prefer. While you wait for the next challenge, check out some of the Let's Plays I do with the boys. We just beat Pikmin for the first time, revisited Pokemon Black and White after 10 years, and next week we have a goofy ass playthrough of Wind Waker coming out, or check out my other challenge videos if you haven't seen them yet. But until then, take it easy, and I hope to see you in the next one.